Japan goes to the polls in her first free election. 2,781 candidates campaign for 466 seats in the Japanese parliament. In Hibiya Park, a few days before the voting, a crowd of 10,000 listens to left-wing speakers who are opposed to the conservative Japanese cabinet. They tell the people that the government, led by Premier Baron Shidahara, is not democratic enough to carry out General MacArthur's program of reform. They call for a protest march on Shidahara's residence, and the crowd breaks into an angry chant. The march begins. Left-wingers, union leaders, and Koreans are predominant in the group. At the gates of the Premier's home, Japanese police try vainly to force the crowd back. American military police later restored order. Next day, Premier Shidahara meets the leftist representatives, who demand his immediate resignation. Koichi Tokuda, Communist Secretary General, denounces the Premier's leadership in a stormy session. But on election day, the voters go to the polls in orderly fashion. Almost 3/4 of the 36 million eligible voters, including a high percentage of women, wait in line to cast their ballot. Voting procedure follows democratic methods, as ballots are distributed and marked in privacy. Returns come in for counting. Conservative parties win a decisive majority of 300 seats. Social Democrats win 90 and the Communist Party 5. In Tokyo, crowds follow the election returns. Her first free election paves the way for democratic processes in Japan. General Douglas MacArthur enters the first meeting of the Allied Council for Japan, composed of delegates from the United States, Britain, China, and Russia, who will advise the Supreme Commander on occupation policy. Outlining the results of his occupation policy to date and guiding Japan into the ways of democracy, MacArthur makes a solemn plea to all nations to follow Japan's example in forever renouncing war.
I therefore commend Japan's proposal for the renunciation of war to the thoughtful consideration of all of the peoples of the world. It points the way, the only way. Such a renunciation must be simultaneous and universal. It must be all or none. It must be effected by action, not words alone. An open, undisguised action, which invites the confidence of all men who would serve the cause of peace. The present instrumentality to enforce its will, the pooled armed might of its component nations, can at best be but a temporary expedient so long as nations still recognize as coexistent the sovereign right of belligerency. No thoughtful man will fail to recognize that with the development of modern science other war may blast mankind to perdition.